Hi there, and welcome to the Curious Collective podcast, conversations designed for the conscious community to bring awareness to those holistic practices that help us live our best life. So, tap into the wisdom and knowledge of our guests to heal, transform, and live as your true soulful self. Welcome, listeners. This week we have with us the gorgeous T. Romanos, who is Health Coach T on Instagram. And I have actually known her for about 7 years now. So we actually met when we were pregnant with our beautiful daughters through a mother's group online, actually. And we've just stayed connected ever since. And I'm so grateful because I've watched this beautiful woman evolve into the work that she's doing today. So we're going to have a chat with her. Welcome, T. How are you today?
Thanks, Katie. I'm doing really well and I'm so excited to be here. And just thinking back to how we actually first met and how we've both watched each other evolve it's really, yeah, it's amazing.
Yes, thank you. And I love watching what you're doing today. So, would you like to introduce to us what it is that makes your heart sing and what is this work that you're doing at the moment?
Yeah, so I guess what makes my heart sing is I have a deep passion for functional medicine. And I really enjoy discovering and getting to the root cause of diseases. So everyone just seems to be quite unwell at the moment, and autoimmune conditions are through the roof. So I just love trying to explore and discover what could be triggering this in our society. And the way I like to treat people in their healing journey is through using herbs and whole foods and homeopathy.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
beautiful. I love your Instagram page because it always just plants such deep seeds of curiosity. And you read it and you're like, oh, maybe this, maybe I could try this. Oh, I never thought of that. So I guess it's so great to have you on a podcast called The Curious Collective because that's a message you're putting out there is to not just go with a diagnosis or
Yeah.
a Google search or whatever, but to really try to get to the root cause of what it is that's manifested into your reality.
Yeah, that's right. And also, I just really want people to learn that they can take back control of their health as well. So not just live with a condition, a name, and that's
Mm,
it. So people, I really would love people to understand that it's not the end,
mm.
and that they can heal themselves.
Ooh, it has got goosies. Absolutely, they can. So, what
Yeah,
made you initially so passionate about this? What's brought you
yeah,
to where you are today?
yeah. It's a very long story, to be honest. Um, and the short side of it is my own health issues. And I was thinking last night, when did I actually get put onto this journey? Not necessarily when did I awaken to natural health, but when did I get put onto this path? And I think it was back when I was about 13 years old.
Mm, wow.
Yeah, so I was having a lot of, I guess, abdominal pain, um, and I went to a doctor. My parents took me to a doctor and then to a specialist who just indicated that, oh, she's just constipated. Here's some Metamucil and she'll be fine.
Mm,
Um, and it just really sticks in my head, that point. And I don't know why, but safe to say it didn't work. I still had the pain, and it continued into my teenage years. Um, it was kind of, I guess, like an IBS, irritable bowel syndrome type of pain,
mm,
but without the typical symptoms. So I was in and out of doctors, in and out of GPs for most of my teenage life. And I'm pretty sure they probably thought I was a hypochondriac.
mm.
And I had a lot of doctors actually say maybe she needs to be put on, anti-anxiety
Oh
medication.
my.
Oh yes, I've had lots of doctors who have gone down that path with me over the years. Um, so and it actually did start turning into a sort of anxiety. I was really
Mm,
anxious about my health, going to the GPs and specialists, and no one being able to tell me what's going on. Why do I have this pain? Um, my parents, weren't too sure what to do. We didn't really change our like we didn't have a bad diet as such. The typical kind of Australian
mm,
diet in the 90s, meat and three veg. And I guess, at school when I was in high school, the packaged food kind of came in
mm,
and probably really didn't help. Um, I had chronic tonsillitis as well as
mm.
a child, so I was on antibiotics a fair bit,
Yep.
which, looking back is probably the trigger for my gut pain, I
Wreaks a bit
suppose.
of havoc in the body.
Yeah, so this is a very long story. I'm going to try my best to break
No,
it
we're
down
listening. This
and
is
shorten it. Um, so yeah, I guess fast forward until I was in my late teens, and I ended up in hospital a few times because the pain was that severe, and they just didn't know what was wrong. And by the third time, they said, okay, this time it's appendicitis. We're going to take your
mm,
appendix out. Um, so I had my appendix taken out when I was, I think I was 18 or 19. Um, and since then, my health just took a really bad turn after that. It was already pretty not great, but
mm,
it was really bad after that. And essentially, just the pain continued and it morphed into period pain,
mm,
really bad period pain when I was having, my period. Um, and then it morphed into period pain every day, not
yeah.
just when I was having my period, but every single day. And it was so bad that I would go white as a ghost when it felt like a kind of a wave, like an attack would come on at times. And I would have to hold on to a wall, otherwise I would fall down.
Oh, unbelievable.
And when I told my mum, she said, "Yeah, that's normal. That's what that used to happen to me as well."
Oh,
So I just thought, okay, all right, I guess this is just how it is.
mm.
Um, Anyway, yeah, so this is like now my
So
my
she'd
early
suffered through it as well.
yes,
Wow.
yes. And she actually had a really big health crisis when she was about 50, and they discovered that she had endometriosis, and it was quite bad.
Mm. And she'd been
Um,
living with it that whole time, not knowing.
she thought it was normal. She thought
Wow.
that's just what it's like to be a female. And therefore, I was living through the same kind of pain. Probably it seems to me quite bit more pain than what my mum went through because of the gut stuff, I think.
Mhm. Like it had
Um,
combined.
yeah, so it's yeah, chicken or the egg, which came first? But yeah, in my early to mid 20s, in and out of doctors again, they were saying it's anxiety, just need to
Mm.
forget about it. It's all in your head, essentially. Like they meant well, but it I knew it wasn't my brain that was the problem.
Yeah, and how can you feel supported through something
Yeah,
that's in that area, that sacral area where you need support and love and nurturing, if people
exactly.
aren't understanding you?
Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, it was just really tough. People just thought I was a hypochondriac.
Mm,
And also, I'm a naturally a type A kind of person. So I do just get on with things. And I was studying, I was working full time, I was, going out and partying in my early 20s. So I was essentially driving myself to the ground,
mm,
as well as, having all the other kind of pain going on. And it wasn't until my early mid 20s, so I think I was about 24 or 20, yeah, about 24, when I finally saw a specialist, a GP, who said, I think you might have endometriosis.
mm,
And so then I went to a specialist, one of the leading specialists in Australia and actually in the world back then. Um, and yeah, they decided to do keyhole surgery to see what was going on. And it turns out I had stage 4 endometriosis.
whoa, so it was
Yeah,
everywhere.
it was everywhere. So it was, they found it up. to the bottom of my diaphragm,
Mm.
right down to the bottom of exit point,
Mm.
both sides. So I had lesions over every single organ
Wowzers.
in my abdomen. Um, I also had adenomyosis, which is where the uterus inside is impacted.
Mm.
So uh, I think I had 3 or 4 operations in my mid-20s to clear it all out.
Wow. And
Yeah,
every operation is a trauma in itself. So
exactly.
your
And I
body
thought,
had undergone significant
yes,
shaking.
yes, yeah. Yeah, it was really intense time, and at that time the anxiety as well, like my mental health was not the
Yeah.
best either. Um, because it was all quite so traumatic, but everyone around me didn't really think it was a big deal. No one really knew what
Didn't
endometriosis was.
understand it. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
no one.
is it linked quite closely with the hormones?
So that's that. While the hormones are impacted by endometriosis, it's not a driver and it's not a causation. So
Mm.
the hormones being out of whack is a symptom.
Yeah.
I would go as far as saying endometriosis is a symptom in itself, not necessarily a disease.
Yeah.
Um,
Interesting.
but I think that there needs to be a lot more research done on that. So that my gut feel is something triggers it,
Mhm.
similar to like an autoimmune condition. I feel it will be one day classified as an autoimmune condition. Um, Something triggers it from my experience and my readings and my
Yeah.
understanding. And what that trigger is can be different for people.
Mm.
So there's not one trigger that will cause it for everyone. Everyone is different,
Mm.
and it could potentially be emotional triggers. It could be, a virus. It could be a bacteria.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there's many things
Mm.
that it seems to be triggered by.
And that's like
Yeah.
autoimmune conditions, isn't it? Like
Yes.
there can be so many external or
Yes.
internal factors that can trigger that within a
Yes.
person's physical body.
Yes. Yeah. You're not really ever born with an autoimmune condition,
No.
so something is triggering it. Um, in our environment, you know, yeah, food.
Mm. It's a big
Yeah,
one.
it's very deep. It's a very deep topic. But when I started to change, my views on health was when I got actually induced into a chemical menopause when I
Mm.
was 25.
Oh my.
Yes. And
So they'd chosen that path for you, the
yes.
medical system. Yeah.
Mm, yeah. So I was in between surgeries, and it was the only way they said that it could stop the endometriosis from spreading
Mm.
further. And they'd already done pretty intense, 6-hour surgeries leading up to this. So, yeah, that was an experience. And I would be crying on TV ads, I'd see baby animals on the screen, and I'd start crying
Yeah.
um, from being in this induced menopause. And I just thought, no, like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Mm. And you
This,
hadn't had your children by then?
I had not. I had, or
Mm.
by this stage, I'd been told I would never have children.
Mm.
I was actually told that when I was about 16.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, that is what triggered me then.
Mm.
The the synthetic menopause period was when I thought, no, this is not
There's got to be
right.
another way.
Yeah. And at that point, so that would have been about 12 years ago, there wasn't much information out about
Mm.
endometriosis at all. So I fumbled through the dark, trying different things, just reading about autoimmune conditions, because in my mind, I'm quite a logical person.
Yeah.
So I'm an economist, by trade before I got into this space. So I'm very logical, and I would read studies, medical studies, to
Mm.
try and figure out how could I help myself here. Um, and I turned to a naturopath at that point.
Yep.
And the main things that I changed, which was so simple but so effective, was my nutrition,
Mhm.
what I was eating. So I was very addicted to sugar by this stage as well.
Yeah.
I
It was a
needed it.
coping mechanism at the time.
I needed it for energy
Mm,
as well. Yeah, so it was probably emotional connection to, something that tastes good, makes me feel good, but it doesn't really make me feel good. I
right.
thought it made me feel good. Um, and yeah, just also I think I was really in that stage two-ish of adrenal fatigue as well,
Mm,
which is where you're highly addicted to sugar. You need it almost like you
yeah.
need caffeine to have energy.
Like a survival pattern,
Yeah, and it's a
perceived. Mm,
yes, and it's a pattern that will just keep looping and looping until you break it.
mm,
It's yeah, it's really difficult. But when you find a person or people who have been through this and have come out the other side, which I have.
yeah.
I am now essentially, they say there's no cure for endometriosis, but I am essentially symptom free and I have been
Yes.
for about 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do still get, little things here and there,
Mm,
um, but I know what triggers me.
yeah.
So I might get really heavy periods here and there. But if I'm stressed, if I've been through a really stressful period, um, or if I am pushing myself too much
Mhm.
physically or mentally, I find that will,
Your body speaks to you.
yes, exactly. And, learning to listen to your body is also a big part of
Mm.
healing yourself.
And
Yeah,
did you go down the path of learning more about adrenal fatigue because it was something that you were suffering from?
yes. So it's hard to put this into words, but I find it is all, I guess this is functional medicine, it is all
Mhm.
connected.
Mm.
So I find that people who have, you know, things like Hashimoto's, or if they have endometriosis, chronic fatigue syndrome, which is kind of the end stage of adrenal fatigue, um, if we work on the adrenals, it seems to help a lot of
Mm.
the flow-on symptoms of Hashimoto's, endometriosis, even potentially, type 2 diabetes.
Yeah. Allows the
Mm.
body to sort of recharge itself.
Yeah, yeah. We all kind of know how bad chronic stress is for our bodies.
Yeah. But look around us, you see people like in a perpetual state of chronic stress.
Exactly, exactly. One of the biggest problems I see
Mm.
with society
And you
is
live in Sydney, you'd see it everywhere.
yes, yes. It's just everyone is go, go, go. I actually believe probably 90% of the Australian adult population is at least in stage one, if
Mm.
not stage two of adrenal fatigue.
Yeah. I
You
would
know?
I would agree with that.
Yeah. If you hear a person say, "I need my morning coffee. I'm so angry until I have my coffee," or you're chatting to someone and like, "Oh, gee, I'm sorry. I need my coffee. I
Or
need to
that
go get a
3 o'clock
coffee."
pickup that they
Yes.
need.
Yes. They are both classic symptoms of adrenal,
Mm.
roughly stage two adrenal fatigue.
Yeah, and so people you've worked with and also from yourself and your own experience, when you work on the adrenals and sort of get them functioning optimally again, what are
Mm.
the sort of benefits of that you have felt?
Yeah, so the benefits, the most obvious one and probably the one that most people complain about is not being able to fall asleep
Mm.
easily. So that's probably one of the first symptoms.
Damn it, I've got adrenal fatigue.
No, no, it doesn't mean your
Uh,
adrenals are there for a reason and stress is good. We
yeah.
need stress to survive, but it's when you're living in chronic stress.
Yeah.
That's when it becomes a problem. And look, I'm going to be honest. I am a type A person. Um, very juggling a million balls in the air
High
at once.
functioning, I call
High,
us.
high functioning. I get it.
Mm.
I struggle. stress is probably the area that I need to work on all the time.
Mm.
I am not one of those Zen masters.
Yet. Let's add yet in.
Well, we can add yet, but yeah, it's an area that I need to work on as well. So I get it. I really, really
Mm,
get it. And just because you might struggle to fall asleep here and there
mm,
doesn't mean you're in adrenal fatigue. It's when it is continuous, it's becoming a problem.
mm,
Um, you're, you're wired at night. That is when it's indicating that your cortisol is now
mm,
not on the right pattern.
mm.
Um, you're having your peaks at night instead of in the morning.
Yeah, all out of whack.
Yeah, but the good news is there's lots of things we can do to
Mm.
try to reverse it, and it is definitely possible to reverse.
Absolutely. And so your journey of working with this naturopath and getting
Mm,
yourself back on track, did
yeah.
you do work alongside the naturopath to
No.
accelerate that for yourself?
No, no. It just became a bit of a side hobby. So instead of watching I guess Netflix wasn't even around back then, but watching say it was,
Mm,
instead of watching Netflix or watching TV, or instead of, um, I don't know, reading a novel or something, I
mm.
would be reading medical journals and um, listening to I don't even know if podcasts were around back
Finding
then,
out
but
all the things you
you
could.
know, back in the dark ages before, yeah, I was just finding out everything I
Mm,
could, reading all the books I could about, you know, all the major kind of autoimmune diseases. So,
mm.
diabetes, type 2.
Fascinating
Um,
stuff.
yeah, so I was largely self-taught.
Mm,
Um, and then I got into herbalism, started making all my own herbal stuff, did a few courses, but then realized it's not. I love herbalism. Don't get me wrong, it's an amazing tool,
mm.
but I I feel like it doesn't necessarily treat the whole person.
Yep.
So it is similar in Western medicine, how you have a sore throat, so we'll give you this herb to help your sore
Yep.
throat, or you're anxious, we'll give you this herb to
Mm.
help your anxiety. It's not really looking at the whole person.
It sort of opens the gateways of healing in those specific areas, the plant medicine, doesn't it?
100%. Like, plant medicine is amazing. I use
Mm.
it in my practice, but it's not a sole thing that I focus on. But that's when I've discovered homeopathy.
Oh, yes. Tell us about
Yeah.
homeopathy.
Yes. So that was a game changer for me in
Mm,
my healing journey. Yeah, it just, while the nutrition and the herbs and the lifestyle changes, reducing stress and exercising
mhm.
more, but not too much.
Yeah,
Not,
just
if you
keeping the
if
body flowing.
yeah, if you do over exercise, it can actually be a negative. It
Yeah.
is a stress. It's a stress. And I found out the wrong way. As you probably remember, I was really into CrossFit.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I've kind of, yeah, homeopathy really, really changed things. It eliminated a lot of symptoms that were still just lingering.
Mm,
And it also, what it does is it looks at a person as a whole.
mm.
So it's your emotional symptoms, as in, how you're feeling
Yep.
generally. I feel X, I feel Y.
Mm,
The mental plane, which brings into things like your fears, your worries, um,
limiting belief systems.
yes, beliefs, those sorts of things. It brings that into account, and then it also brings into account the physical symptoms.
Mm,
So you're looking for a remedy that captures all of the symptoms, one remedy that captures all the emotional, all the mental,
mm.
all the physical.
Oh, I love that. It's like a
Yes.
holistic approach.
Yes, exactly. So that's yeah, that's when I discovered homeopathy is my calling,
Mm.
essentially.
So, homeopathy in itself, is it tinctures? Is it like what creates a homeopathic remedy if I was to want
Yeah,
one for, say, headaches or something like that?
yeah. So, one the biggest misconception I've come across with homeopathy is that it's very similar to a herbalist or a naturopath, and
Mhm.
it's just completely different
Ooh, tell us
modalities.
more.
Very different. So in homeopathy, we make remedies from essentially anything:
Mhm.
plants, minerals, metals, animal parts, animals, insects.
Wow.
Yes, diseased tissue
Mhm.
from humans. But it's important to note that we're using the energy of
Yeah.
these substances. So when I give it to you, you're not actually, all the molecules of the original substance are no longer there. It's
Mhm.
the energy of that
Mhm.
substance, which is what we're working with.
Mm.
So it is definitely a more energetic medicine.
Mm. I love that. I
Yeah.
understand all of that. Some people are still getting there, but
Yeah, it's
but
tricky.
if you're at a point where you've sort of thought that, or you're saying the line, "I've tried everything," but you haven't tried homeopathy, give it a go. What do you got to lose?
Exactly. And the really good thing about homeopathy is that if the energy medicine doesn't jive with your energy, it's not going to do anything to you.
Mm.
So it's not going to give you any side effects or symptoms if it's
Mm.
not the right remedy for your energetic state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I absolutely love, like, I've got homeopathic scans that I do with my frequency device, and they are my favorite out of all of them because they give me the most intricate information and awareness. So
Yeah.
I just I just love them the most. So one day I definitely do want to try because I haven't yet because I haven't fully understood it.
Yeah.
Homeopathy.
Yeah. It's one of those modalities where it's quite tricky to grasp, and it's tricky to treat yourself with it if you haven't studied it or been trained in it.
Because of the extensiveness of it.
Oh, there's thousands of remedies, thousands. But in saying that, there are constitutional remedies, which, there are maybe about 100 of them.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of people in their states will require constitutional remedies.
Mm.
There's only, some people do require the others, but it's not as common. And the other thing with homeopathy is that there's two different kind of streams, I guess. There's um, treating the acute symptoms. So, say you get a headache, like you mentioned
Yeah.
before, or um, say you have a cold or a flu or, uh, you know, chicken pox or something like that, an acute condition. So,
Mm.
something that happens quickly and leaves quickly.
Yeah.
People the remedies that are used in those sorts of situations are not necessarily broad. There's only really a handful that will fall into those, you
Hmm.
know, typical symptoms. So, for mums and dads or people who are wanting to use homeopathy at home
Yeah.
for acute conditions, it's pretty easy. And there's a
Hmm.
few books out there. You can just look up your symptoms and it'll tell you which remedy
Yeah. Fantastic.
is most likely to work. So for anyone out there wanting to try homeopathy, I definitely recommend looking into getting a first aid kit, a homeopathy first aid kit,
Oh, I've heard about those.
yeah, I it's on my to-do list to create some
Yeah.
and sell them. I haven't quite got there yet, but there are a few homeopaths out there selling them. Um, so yeah, they're definitely out there. I would recommend the sugar pills over liquid. They last
Mhm.
longer. And the average kind of, I guess, uh, I would be using 30C, which is um, the type of range of strength
Yeah.
in homeopathy. So you can get the lower the number, the less weak it is,
Mhm.
and the higher the number, the more stronger the
Mm.
the remedy is. But 30C would be the average if anyone is looking to buy a
And I
kit.
probably said it would be great to have, a consult with yourself to get an idea and get your head around what it is and how they work and understand it more with
Yes.
regard to your own body, and then
Yes.
go out and seek the first aid kit to sort of arm yourself in the home.
Yeah, so usually, so we are under a few rules in Australia whereby generally, if you buy a homeopathic first aid kit, you should be receiving a very short introduction
Mm,
training
yep,
session into how to use it. So
yep.
that's definitely out there as well.
Mm.
Yeah,
Awesome. So
yeah.
I would love to just touch back on the endo for a bit and your
Mm,
journey through that.
hmm
So you were told at the age of 16 that you
mm,
couldn't have children, yet I
hmm
do believe you have children.
Yes, I do. I have two. I have two girls who are very lovely, aged 7.5 and 5. And
Congratulations to be
yes,
told that and then suffer the emotional trauma of that and all it entails to then be able to go through that. So
yes.
did the endo play a part in fertility for you? Was that something you had to work through?
No, no, it didn't. I fell pregnant very quickly. But I had by then been on my, you know, health journey, natural health
Yeah.
journey for a good 4 or so years by that
Mm.
point. Um,
Did you
but
notice physically with your body when you
mhm,
started on your health journey and you were a significant time in changes as well to your physical
mm.
body on the outside?
um, hmm,
Because did you get bloating from the endo?
no,
Didn't get
no,
that. I've
no,
seen
no.
poor people that look
I
like they're
know,
pregnant when they've
I
got the
know, I know. It's
really tricky to navigate.
Yeah, it is. I feel that the bloatingness isn't necessarily part of the endo. It is more to do with the bacteria, the type of
Mm,
microbiome mix going on with that person.
yeah, in the gut.
So, yeah, so no, I've been quite lucky in that I'm naturally quite a, a thin, athletic build, I
Mm,
suppose. I've never had the typical, you know, bloating or anything like that. I guess what I did notice though was my skin.
mm,
Um, and yeah, just being more clear and my eyes being more
yeah.
clear. And I used to get a lot of comments when I was young. "Oh, your eyes are so clear. Your eyes are so clear. Why are
Mm.
your eyes so clear?" I was like, what do you mean?
Yep.
Um, Yeah, so now I'm 38,
Mm,
and I feel, that I look a pretty healthy 38,
mm.
very
'Cause our
clear
health
skin.
shines out of us as we're looking after ourselves internally, the outside will be
Yeah,
brighter and shinier,
yeah,
all
and
the
I'm not,
things.
yeah, that's right. I think so. And look, I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm not. I still have weaknesses. I love lollies.
Oh, no.
I can't have them in the house, and I did have them in the house last week.
Mm.
That was a mistake. Um,
Yeah, I can't have particular things in my house either, or I'm, like, drawn
we're
to them like a
human.
magnet.
Exactly. We're still human. We still have weaknesses. We
Mm.
still, you know, um, we're not perfect, and we're not meant to be perfect.
Mhm. But I
So,
love what you mentioned in the start, and that's just, really getting curious and questioning things and being exploratory around your own health and going to the roots of things, rather than,
exactly.
you can have your lollies or for me, it's dark chocolate cooking drops every now and
Oh,
then. But really just thinking as you're putting food in your mouth, my thing is this nourishing my body? Is this something
yeah.
that my body wants and needs?
Yeah. And that's when it also comes down to listening to your body as well.
Huge.
Uh, and when it is craving these sorts of things that, aren't necessarily nourishing for our bodies, what's that saying as
Yeah,
well?
I love that. It's very
So
important.
if you're craving a lot of sugar, what does that mean?
Mm,
Are you are you tired?
mm,
Are you not eating enough protein, which is a big thing for females as well?
Mm.
females do not eat enough protein on a whole.
Yes. Yes. I'm one of them.
Um, most women are. It's just, you know, I don't know if it's some kind of old brain way of being,
Mm,
or I'm not sure. But yeah, a lot of women really struggle with having enough protein,
mm,
whereas men not so much. And also, your blood sugar. So that's a
mm.
really big part of everything as well. So I also find if you really work on stabilizing your blood sugars, and I do run a course on teaching people how to do that as
Oh,
well.
awesome.
And yeah, and there's a few practitioners, I think there's a couple of others out there who also do it. Um, that really helps a lot of the autoimmune conditions as well.
Yeah. I know it helps my children. My 7-year-old, if she's not eating consistently throughout the day and her sugar levels get out of whack, she just cannot regulate herself. She just
Yeah.
very big emotions.
Yeah. So you also need to think, what are they eating as well? Because children are a bit different, but as an adult, if you are needing to eat every 2 hours or every
Mm,
hour, that is a big sign of blood sugar dysregulation.
mhm.
So different for children, they're growing, but as an adult, if you are finding you need to snack a lot, that's a big pointer to your blood sugars are not optimal.
Mm, mm, mm.
Yeah. So that's a really interesting topic as well.
So your knowledge is so extensive around all this through your own research, your own life experience, and now further studies that you've done.
Yeah.
Where do you plan to take this? Like, where is Health Coach T headed?
Yes. I don't really know at this stage. I am still working a corporate job.
Hmm.
It's a pretty intense corporate job as well. So it's a, corporate treasury, running a treasury team. So my contract there ends in July, and I've been juggling my health coaching business on the side and all my study as well.
Oh my.
Um,
And two
yes,
children and a
and
husband.
yes, and a house. Um, so in the short term, I just really want to get that, contract finished up and just really focus on a rebranding. So building a
Mm,
new website, getting a new booking system in, all that sort of stuff. Um, and continuing to offer my short courses, which are not just here's a PDF or a website and off you go
mm.
kind of course.
More of an empowering people to take their health into their own hands type approach.
Yeah, and you're with me, like you have one-on-one sessions with me, you have
Mm,
group sessions with me, where we encourage each other, and you learn a lot. So in the short term, that's kind of where I'm heading.
yeah.
Um, long term, long term, I just really want to get my knowledge out there to
Yeah.
everyday people,
We need it.
I just want people to realize, especially young
Mm,
young women. I had this really sad story just this week of a 21-year-old female with endometriosis who has been told, and I've heard this kind of story a number of times, but this was a
mm.
personal story to me asking for help. And she has been told that she has to get a full hysterectomy
Wow,
at
21,
age,
did you just say? Oh
yes, age
my.
21 because of endometriosis.
Mm.
And she's never really gone down the natural health path. So
It's all very new to her.
yeah,
It can be overwhelming and daunting.
yes, it can be. And people think, well, does it work?
Mm.
Does it
Yes,
really
it
work?
does.
Yes, I,
Do
I
it.
really find it important to tell my story. How
Yeah.
did I get here? Why am I doing what I'm doing?
And
As
please keep doing that.
yes,
Absolutely.
so people realize it's possible, and I'm not the only person
Yeah,
out there who has been able
absolutely.
to help heal. Yeah, I'm not the only one.
And I love it that people like you that have been through this are sharing your story because the education needs to be out there and yours is backed by beautiful amounts of knowledge and wisdom as too. So
Thank you.
all of T's beautiful social media links will be down below and a little bit of information about her as well. So should you wish to connect with her later on, you can. So is there anything else you would like to share with the listeners that might be looking into, say, homeopathy or helping to treat themselves with their health conditions. What wisdom might you like to share?
Yeah, I would say that you don't have to do it alone
Mm,
now, especially with social media. There's a lot of people out there who have, trotted that path, and did do it alone, and it took a long time. It doesn't have to be like that. You can find people who have experienced what you're going through now. And I find practitioners who have that real life experience in these conditions are the ones that are so passionate and have a deep, deep understanding of what you're going through, where you can be, and how to get there, kind of thing.
who wouldn't choose that over the medical system telling you you're hypochondriac and perhaps you need anxiety meds? Come on,
Yeah, you'll be
the
surprised.
no-brainer.
It is to us, yeah.
Mm.
But
Thank
in
you.
saying that, look, Katie, I just want to say one more thing, that I just want to say that modern medicine is amazing as well.
Yes,
So I just want people to know that it's in the when we're dealing with immune issues and long-term sort of diseases, natural health is great. Acute cases, modern medicine is great.
yes.
So I just wanted to preface
They
that as well.
beautifully accompany each other.
Yeah,
Just got
they
to find the
can.
right supportive
That's
medical
right.
and keep
That's right.
searching around until you find that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's very important.
Yeah, thank you so much for all your knowledge and wisdom and for your time here today with all of
Thank
us and
you.
sharing your story.
Thanks for having me. Thank you
No
very
worries.
much.
Bye.
See you.